Jared White covers the local agriculture news you need to know. Hear his reports by downloading the free WHOW mobile app.
You and your loved one will love living here at Eagle Ridge Supportive Living Indicator. Marketing Director Carla Thomas here with some comments from one of our happy residents.
Glenn, tell us how long you have been a resident.
A little over 2 years. It's been good. They take good care of me. I feel safe here. I like the staff. They're very friendly.
Eagle Ridge Indicator is affordable to everyone. Call me, Carla Thomas, for a tour at 217-872-1282. That's 217-872-1282 and start enjoying supportive living.
You're listening to The Morning Show on the Big 1520 across Central Illinois. WHOW.
Top of the morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence, and my guest in studio is Julia Livingston. She is the executive director of Macon County CASA in DeWitt County. Good morning, Julia. How are you?
Hi, Seth. Fine. How are you?
I'm good. How was Thanksgiving?
It was good. You know, lots of family. I've got little ones at home, and it's just really nice to get to enjoy some uninterrupted time with them.
Sure, absolutely. I don't know about you, but I was kind of sitting around yesterday, and I was like, man, a 4-day weekend like that was much needed. You know what I mean?
It was a good refresher for everybody.
For sure. So, well, glad to have you back in studio. And you come again, I feel like the last 2 or 3 visits, you've come with big news. What's the news today?
Yeah, you know, when you get to do something like an expansion, it is exciting because things do kind of move quickly. And, you know, at CASA, we are trying to render our services as quickly as possible in DeWitt County. Mm-hmm. So we have actually officially secured an office location in Clinton. Mm-hmm. So we're actually going to have an office space in the Clinton Presbyterian Church there in Clinton.
Sure. Awesome. So talk a little bit about the process to get to where we're at right now. How did all this kind of come about, I guess?
Yeah. So we had been reached out to by the JA judge there in DeWitt County and just chatted through what it would look like for CASA to assist in some of these cases with in juvenile advocacy court. So these are children who are, they've been removed from their biological homes and placed into foster care due to abuse and neglect.
Sure.
And so CASA comes in, we act as an extra set of eyes and ears on the case for the judge. Mm-hmm. And we offer him, obviously, that security in between the case, case time in court every mm-hmm. 6 months, but we also offer him a report every 6 months to let him know how things are going.
Sure. How, to kind of backtrack on that a little bit, how often is a child actually in court in front of a judge or with attorneys or whatever the case may be? And, why is it so important that someone be there in, kind of in the middle of all of that?
So typically in Macon and DeWitt counties, children do not attend court. So that is something that is kind of a misconception by the public in a lot of court settings. Mm-hmm. And in Macon and DeWitt, they really just don't have kids come to court. These are minors, court hearings can be very heavy, mm-hmm. not to mention long. And so CASA gets the opportunity to kind of sometimes speak for that child, mm-hmm. To kind of let the judges know, let the lawyers know mm-hmm. what's going on in that child's life and what our sort of recommendations are based on that knowledge.
Sure. So you going to be in the Clinton Presbyterian Church. And I know this is something that you've been, seeking for several months now is kind of just a place to be. What is this going to mean for should I call it DeWitt County CASA, by the way?
That's a great question because that's been asked. We are Macon County CASA. We're going to keep that same moniker, mm-hmm. although, we've expanded into DeWitt. Mm-hmm. There are 31 CASAs across the state, and they all are named differently. Mm-hmm. And some CASAs, even though they cover other counties, will keep that name. So mm-hmm. currently, and for the foreseeable future, we will be Macon County CASA still.
Gotcha. Yeah. So what does having a place just to set up shop mean for what's going on within DeWitt County with Macon County CASA?
Yeah, I personally am so community oriented, and I think it's really important that if you're going to render services in a community, that you need to be a part of that community. And so for that reason, I'm duplicating things as we do in Macon County. So we're very local, so I'll be doing some print work, and I've sought out a printer here in DeWitt County to mm-hmm. make sure that we're, spending our dollars here. We
right.
want the community support, and we need to support the community as well. Mm-hmm. So it's exciting that we have an actual visible place to be in DeWitt County. I know as a smaller community that's in between maybe larger communities, there sometimes is the the trouble of having services rendered in your community, but not necessarily having those services be in the community.
Right. Sure.
So I certainly want everyone to feel that, Macon County CASA is a part of the DeWitt County community.
Definitely. Will you have office hours? What will kind of be the purpose of your office space, I guess? How about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we will have one staff member who will be there. And at the beginning, it will likely look like 3 times a week. That person will be in that office.
Mhm.
We will have them in Macon in our other office with our other staff as they're training,
Okay.
just to make sure they get plenty of that under their belt as well. But they'll be conducting visits and meetings there. They'll get to meet with, for instance, foster parents or biological parents.
Okay.
But a lot of our work, remember, is done out. So
Right,
they're
yeah.
going to visit with the children in the foster home. They need to
Mhm.
see the home
Mhm.
to make sure that things are okay.
Right.
Also, it's a place where our volunteers can come and chat with our staff,
Mhm.
because that relationship's got to be a very close and communicating one as well.
Absolutely. So when you talk about having having a staff member, if I remember right, that search was ongoing. How is that process to this point?
We are still interviewing.
Okay.
We haven't had a lot of applicants, honestly, to drop into the portal. And we're wanting to make sure that we have the right fit. Again, it's important to us that, we'd love to have someone from here in DeWitt County to take that position.
Right.
Because we feel like that it's a valuable asset to know the community and to be a
Definitely.
part of the community. So
Now, is that a case manager position? Is that what that is?
it's a similar to a case manager. Yes. So at other agencies like DCFS or, other case managing agencies, they
Mhm.
do a very similar role,
Okay.
except they're managing the cases and the volunteers. So
Right.
that's unlike others.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've had good luck in getting volunteers lately, I've seen.
We have. So we swore in our first 3 volunteers, I guess a couple of months ago now.
I know. Can't believe it's
I
been that
know.
long.
And our second swear in is actually tomorrow.
Oh, no kidding.
So it's really exciting, just to kind of get everybody in. We have 3 more volunteers coming in. Those first 3 volunteers are working their cases. They're having their visits with kids, and they're really enjoying the work that they're doing.
Yeah. And how much of a learning curve is there for those volunteers, to really get their feet wet and understand the process and what they're doing and those sorts of things?
Our training is extremely thorough. It's 6 weeks long, and it's approximately 30 hours worth of training. So it is a bit more of a commitment, for instance, up front than simply going to a food pantry and volunteering to hand out food. There are a lot of test situations that our volunteers will get into. And so we need them to know the process. So we teach them everything they need to know. They get to meet lots of court participants, and they really get their feet wet. And then from there, a lot of the training also comes from being assigned to the case and getting to work the case itself.
Kind of that hands-on experience. That's a great tool as well. Again, our guest in studio, Julia Livingston, is the executive director of Macon County CASA, and talking about the latest happenings with their DeWitt County program. And you mentioned now an office location. If you don't mind if I ask, it's in a church. So when someone walks in, what's the process of getting into your space? I mean, do they need to talk to the church secretary, or like how will they go about like getting actually to you? Does that make sense?
Absolutely. So our office will be situated just on the 2nd floor. So there will be a door that's closest to our office, an outside door. And that door will have, our sign on it. We'll have a sign outside, and they'll be able to access our office directly from coming into there.
Okay, very good. So easy enough. Anything on the new office space that I haven't touched on you want to make sure we know about?
No. So the address is 402 North Center Street there in Clinton. And again, we're just really excited. The Clinton Presbyterian Church, it was a great beginning of a relationship. They're really committed to the community and the well-being of all of the members of the community.
Sure.
And so it did seem like a really great fit for the 2 of us to work together. So we're so grateful to them.
Awesome. Very good. Well, a few minutes yet still, Julia, before we need to take a time out. What else is going on within the organization right now? Like, what's your focus on these days?
So we've got a couple of focus points. Tomorrow is Giving Tuesday, and it's sort of a holiday for nonprofits like us. And so we talked before about how we receive funding, and a lot of our funding is varied. We have some grant funding, we do fundraisers, and we also rely on the kind donations of community members who find value in what we do.
Sure.
And so, I'm a big believer that these foster children are all of our community's responsibility. And some people are built to be able to give of their time by volunteering, and some people are built to give of their finances in the form of a donation. And
Sure.
so tomorrow is a great day to do that. If you go take a look at our website, which is maconcountycasa.org, and you feel, impelled and impressed by the work that we do in our mission, and you're excited that we're doing work there in DeWitt County, we would definitely ask that people make a donation. $5, makes a huge difference and really adds up for us to be able to, increase the number of foster children that we can advocate for.
Definitely. How does one make a donation to Macon County CASA?
So again, they can go online to our website there at maconcountycasa.org, and it's very easy just to click on there and make a donation online very quickly.
Sure. Well, and just kind of as you're talking there, not to dive into all the nuances of this conversation, but we know in the last couple of years, a lot of cash has been put into the economy and those sorts of things. And, some people can probably afford to give, some people can't, just kind of depends on your circumstances. But in thinking about that cash infusion into the economy, I'm wondering, has Macon County CASA been able to tap into that? And has that at all helped programming in DeWitt County?
Absolutely. The application for the grants, for instance, that helped us start this, expansion really came from that, as a result of that. And so, I'm constantly trying to figure out, honestly, where we're going to get our next finances, as a nonprofit. That's really the world we live in.
Yep.
And so I kind of constantly remain creative and make sure that I really help to express to the community what we do. I'm very convinced that when people hear about our mission, they will feel like they need to be involved in some way.
Definitely.
Because, these children really, it's no fault of their own that they've landed in foster care.
Right.
But we do, as a community, need to take a responsibility to figure out how we're going to help them get through this time with the least amount of trauma as possible.
Well, and it feels like a lot of that effort is just being front and center and having the conversation. I think of, we've had Macon County CASA on, and for, various reasons, conversations have kind of fallen off recently, but I just felt like when we were having those conversations, that awareness was just there because the conversation was being had. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I think that abuse and neglect of children is something that's very easy to brush under the rug. It's not something that we want to think about. It's very sad. It's tough to think about these situations that kids get into. I mean, adults couldn't go through some of these situations and come out the other side successfully.
Right.
So I understand that. But I also understand, like you said, the need to have these conversations and be aware.
Definitely.
Because again, as a community, we are the ones who are seeing this, that are calling awareness to it. If you see something, you need to make the call.
Absolutely.
To DCFS.
Yeah. And that's just one thing I just enjoy about having you in studio is just having that conversation. That's really a big step forward. At least I think so. So, Julie, I look at the clock. We need a timeout. Anything in relation to Giving Tuesday? We didn't touch on anything about the new location we didn't get to. You want to put out there before a break?
No, that's perfect. If
Awesome.
keep that in mind and keep aware for we're part of the Clinton Chamber already. And so we will be having a ribbon cutting probably somewhere about the beginning of the year once we get all completely moved in and signage and everything.
Awesome. And again, give us your website for Giving Tuesday.
It's maconcountycasa.org.
Very good. Again, Julia Livingston with Macon County CASA is our guest in studio. A lot more with her on the way on the WHOW Morning Show.
If you think a new truck or SUV is in your future and you can't find one, you can special order yours today at Baum Chevrolet Buick here in Clinton. This is Scott Baum. Even though you don't see new vehicles on our lot, they are starting to build them. We're taking orders now for new Chevrolet trucks, the Silverado 1500, 2500, 3500, plus our SUVs, the Equinox, Trailblazer, Blazer, Traverse, Tahoe, and Suburban. See our full service team today at BaumChevyBuick.com, right from the start.
Getting your pet's needed medications is easy with Covenant Animal Clinic in Clinton.
Yes, very convenient, especially because I live in Bloomington. It always gets delivered right to your door.
I've used the online pharmacy. It's so easy.
Click the Covenant Animal Clinic icon at DeWittDailyNews.com to learn more.
Eagle Ridge Supportive Living Indicator is affordable to everyone. Marketing Director Carla Thomas here, inviting you to schedule your tour by clicking our icon at DeWittDailyNews.com and start enjoying supportive living.
Get in the game by listening to the winner 965.com. Great sports talk 24/7, plus college football and Big Ten basketball, including the Big Ten tournament, fishing and hunting information every week on Central Illinois Outdoors. We're your college and Big Ten sports connection in Christian County and surrounding area. Stream the winner 965.com to get in the game.
Hey, this is Todd Gleason from Illinois Extension here with a time change for our daily market report on WHOW. You can now catch our daily review of the commodity markets at 5:06 on all of WHOW's many platforms. You'll still hear all of our commodity analysts and weather professionals each afternoon, but at a brand new time. And you'll still hear the weekly wrap-up of the commodity markets right here on WHOW when Commodity Week airs Saturdays at 8:30 a.m. Remember the time change for the daily closing market report on WHOW at our new time, 5:06 p.m. weekdays.
This is The Morning Show on 92.3 FM in DeWitt County, WHOW.
Once again, a good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence, and again in studio with me is Julia Livingston, Executive Director of Macon County CASA, and of course, they are expanding into DeWitt County. And Julia, as you talk about expanding into DeWitt County, you're going to continue to grow your volunteer base, and a new phase in that process begins at the first of the year. What do you have for us?
It does. So we've outlined actually all of our trainings for the year of 2022.
Okay.
And our first training is actually going to start on January 13th. So that is really exciting news to give to everybody. That is on a Thursday. And so those classes will be every Thursday for 6 weeks.
And those are 8-hour sessions, if I remember
Those
right.
are 3-hour sessions.
3 hour. Okay, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
that's okay. 3-hour sessions. And so we have both a morning class and an evening class. So
Okay.
9:15 in the morning or 5:15 in the evening.
And how long do these go for?
So 3 hours each
Yeah.
of those Thursdays and
Okay.
6 weeks worth
6
of
weeks,
Thursdays.
that's right. Yeah, sure.
Mhm.
And this training gets you ready to rock and roll as a CASA volunteer, correct?
Absolutely. At the end of the 6 weeks, you actually get sworn in as an official court-appointed special advocate by the JA judge.
Very good.
Yeah.
And we were talking a little bit in the break. Probably best to, if you're considering that, maybe as you start to think about those, 1st of December right around the corner, we're going to be thinking about the new year and all of those, New Year's resolutions. Maybe somebody puts volunteering on their list, and, Macon County CASA would be a great place to start, most likely.
Absolutely. The end of the year always brings a reflection for people. How did I spend my time this year? And so, as you evaluate how you spent your time, and if maybe you didn't feel like you did enough for your community, the greatest gift that you could give in 2022 is the gift of your time to a child in foster care.
Definitely. So it sounds involved, but it's very rewarding at the end of it, I'm sure.
It is, absolutely. Every one of our volunteers says that it is heavy work, but that the value is definitely in every visit that they make with a child.
Definitely. You're going to have, when this process gets started up in 2022, about 6 volunteers.
Yes.
How much do they factor into recruiting and spreading the good word about the things going on in Macon County CASA?
Their work is so important, and we know that how their experiences will dictate how they share their experiences with others. We've seen growth in Macon County due to our volunteers sharing with their friends and family just how fulfilled the role makes them feel, and as a result, there's not any one reason that volunteers typically come to CASA. It's typically a series of things. So you saw an advertisement of ours. You had a friend who was a CASA volunteer, and you knew a child recently who came into foster care. And so it's a series of things that really just gets volunteers thinking, community members thinking about how they could make a difference.
It's one of those things. We were talking in the break about how just having that conversation around child abuse just raises awareness. And, you made a great point. If it's a lot of times we have this feeling of, if it's not happening in my home, it's not on my radar. And with a topic like child abuse, you really don't want that on your radar. So when it does, kind of infiltrate your world, you want to do something. You know what I mean? And
I do.
Yeah,
absolutely. And it is in people's mind that sometimes it's not on their radar and it's not affecting them because it's not in their home. But the reality is, if you have children, for instance, it is affecting your home because your children are in class sitting beside some other children who are in foster care currently.
Right.
And they're experiencing some traumas and they're having residual behaviors as a result of that. And your child is experiencing that with them at times.
Definitely.
And so it is really important that we all just figure out what our part is in helping that.
That's a great way to put it. Absolutely, for sure. Well, I have a couple of minutes left with you, Julia, and I don't want to miss anything you've wanted to talk about. So what have I missed today? What do you want to get to?
Yeah. So in the training, I just want to delve just a little deeper into that. There is a process for entry into the training. If you're considering it, go to our website. There's so much information that lives there, MaconCountyCASA.org, and you can really explore there. It also gives you the option to email us or call us, and we can talk through other things with you as well. But if you decide that you want to undergo the process, there is just a 4-step entry into the training. So you'll fill out an application online at that MaconCountyCASA.org website. You will list some non-family references in that application. You'll complete a background check and a 1-hour volunteer interview.
Okay.
And so once all of those things are passed, then we invite you into the class. So class starts on January 13th. Get the process started a little early. It does take a week or a little longer to get all of those things rolling.
Okay.
But the class does offer a couple of options. With COVID, we had to change things a little bit and we went to all online. So starting in 2022, our morning class is actually going to be held in person at our Macon County CASA office in Macon County, in Decatur. And then our evening class will still be online. So you really are offered a couple of different options there.
Very good. I'd like you to react to this just very quickly. We don't have a whole lot of time, but, in talking about some of the volunteer things I've done, and it's just in casual conversation, I'm not beating people over the head to do what I do or anything like that. But, just in general conversation, I talk about what I do and I hear so often, oh, I'd love to do that, but, and then comes that reason. What's your reaction to those things?
So my volunteers look like so many different people, and that's what's amazing about it. 70% of my volunteers are actually full-time employees. So the issue of no time, I'm a big believer that you make time for what is important to you.
Definitely.
And we're talking about up to 10 hours a month. And you really, after the training, you get to dictate what that timing looks like.
Sure.
So that's amazing.
Awesome. Julia, I hate to do this to you. I have to let you go. Thanks so much for coming out. Julia Livingston with Macon County CASA in studio. Network News on the way.
With SRN